Good day! This is a technical presentation about the cognitive radio technology. These are the contents of our presentation. So now, what is cognitive radio? Simply, cognitive radio is a technique used in communication systems for allocating channels to users. The spectrum management in cognitive radio is dynamic, it's not static. The allocation of the channels will be based on the availability of the channel protocols and standards. Simply, if we work in the cellular and the cellular band is very crowded, we can go to the military band and use their frequency without causing problems to them. This is the main idea of cognitive radio. So now we will see the advantages of using cognitive radio. Do we need cognitive radio? To answer this question, we should see some factors. Firstly, the inefficiency in the usage of the spectrum. FCC, which is the Federal Communication Commission in USA, announced that the spectrum is used inefficiently. For example, cellular bands are usually crowded, but bands used by military are inefficiently used. Cognitive radio will solve this problem. Secondly, it will improve the power-saving protocols usage. Because if we use cognitive radio, we need to transmit in low power. So power-saving protocols will be used more. We need to transmit in low power to not cause interference to the main user. And finally, it will improve the quality of service. These are some famous standards that use cognitive radio ideas or technology. Here are a simple comparison between these two standards that uses cognitive radio. This is for your information. So what are the challenges that faces cognitive radio from being popular? The challenges, firstly, high quality sensing technology, because we will be transmitting a low power, so we need high quality sensing technologies. Secondly, we will need a multi-band antenna because we will be using a lot of bands, a lot of frequencies. And finally, of course, the security concerns. Now we will go to my friend Amjad.
In cognitive radio, there are two types of users, primary users and secondary users. Primary users are the licensed users, the users that pay to use the spectrum. And the other type is secondary users, the users that are unlicensed but they need to use the same spectrum. So there are two cases. First case, if the primary user is active, it is now using the spectrum, then the secondary user will not be allowed to use the same spectrum. It becomes inactive. And the second case, when the primary user is not using the spectrum, there is no primary user detected, then the secondary user can transmit using the same spectrum even though it's not licensed. There are many protocols that can be used for cognitive radio, one of which is called listen before talk. In this protocol, every activity period for the secondary user is divided into two slots. The first slot is used for sensing. There is only sensing, there's no transmission. The secondary user senses whether there is a primary user using the same spectrum or not. If there is not any primary user, then it's now allowed to transmit using the spectrum. Now here's the question: how can the secondary user determine whether there is a primary user or not? During sensing, the secondary user would get a signal like this. Y, the sense signal, is equal to AX plus W. W is the white Gaussian noise, and X is the primary signal, and A can be either 1 or 0. So if A is 1, then the sense signal is X plus W, which means there is a primary user, and if A is 0, then the sense signal is only W, there is only noise. So there is no primary user, and then the secondary user is allowed to send. However, this is only theoretical. Practically, how can we determine if A is 1 or 0? Well, there are many techniques that can be used to detect the presence of a primary user, one of which is energy comparison. We know that the BSD of the white Gaussian noise is constant, so we know that if we sensed as this noise signal for a certain period, then its energy for that period will be known. It is energy of the noise. So if the sensed energy was greater than this amount E noise, then we know that there is a primary user. And if the energy is equal to E of the noise, then the sense signal is purely noise, so there is no primary user.
Talk protocol. In listen and talk protocol, unlike the LPT, sensing and transmission will be done in the same time. This is done into first transmit sense method. And the transmit sense method, the secondary user message will be sent and received by the receiver. Then a signal interference cancelling method will be done to cancel the secondary user message. Then a testing mechanism will be done same as the one used in the LPT to whether choose to continue transmitting or to stop transmitting. And this is done basically to check whether the primary user is using the channel or not. Also, unfortunately, the signal interference cancelling method will not cancel the secondary user completely due to the nonlinearities in the amplifier used in the receiver and the environment, and this is called residual signal interference. Also another method is called transmit and receive method. A bidirectional channel will be established between two secondary users, and signal interference cancelling will be used to detect if the primary user is there in the channel. And that's it. Thank you for your listening. This is the end of our presentation. These are the references used in our presentation. Thank you.